Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome beautiful people. We're back for the next episode of How Good Are They Really? And today we're going to figure out the truth behind probably the biggest antagonist that poker has produced in the last few years, Nick Airball. Now, Nick has got a lot of screen time recently, not only because he plays pretty wild and loose, and I'll tell you a little bit about what happens behind the scenes in regards to that specifically coming up in the video, but at least on the streams he plays wild and loose. And he also did this thing where he like called out Matt Berkey, who is a good professional poker player. As far as I haven't seen much of Matt play, but I just assume he's fantastic based on his results, or at least very good. And challenged him to a heads up. That whole saga was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. If you didn't see it, basically he was just like, I challenge you to heads up. And Matt was like, okay, come to Vegas. He was like, I don't really want to. And then he was like, all right, fine, I will, because now I feel the public pressure. And then he was like, I want some time to study. So you got Doug Polk to coach him, because Doug and Berkey don't like each other. Doug was like, sure, I'll do this. And then Doug was like, oh, this is going to be tough, dude. I don't know how much I can help you here. And then he was like, I also want my friend to sit next to me the entire time, who was also better than Nick at poker. And Matt was like, what's going on? Come on, what's going on? And eventually they came to a conclusion. They mediated. Nick Airball just lost a lot of money. I think he lost like $1 million or something. You editor, put the number up on the screen there, but he lost a ton, as expected. And he's been a little bit quieter since then. It's like sometimes when somebody goes up on an upswing, they just get this chutzpah. Their minerals grow 3 times the size that they should be, and they end up playing stakes higher than they should. Shout out to Rampage. Please, my friend, stop playing so much high stakes. I've been watching a little bit of Rampage recently, and goddamn, I think I need to reach out to him to coach him. My heart is just, it really hurt for the guy. He needs to like stop doing what he's doing. He needs to be in, unless he's like leveling all of us and he's just making so much money through like affiliate and sponsorship deals that getting invited to private games. But I don't get the feeling that's what's going on. At the same time, if I coach Rampage and he gets better at poker, so will like hundreds of thousands of people that watch him. So it's like, do I want to do that for the poker ecosystem? I don't know. Anyway, Nick Airball. Actually, firstly, if you're interested and you like my style of coaching, the next 35 people that sign up to Elite University, I'm going to give the biggest discount that we're giving, 50% off for the first 2 months using this code. 50% off. You'll have hundreds of hours of me coaching and every single stake starting at the 2-0, going all the way up to the high stakes. I promise it's very good content. You'll also get access to a community of very high stakes crushers. We've also recently hired a very expensive, very good GTO and MDA coach. If you don't know what that is, you'll find out when you're in, because he balances out the kind of like exploitative style that I did. You know, I taught myself poker. And so my style is very, very different to most of the professionals out there. Although when I find there are some of the top players, they think very, very similarly to me. I was recently playing against the top player in the world whilst he was on LSD in a private game. A little insight into my life. Anyway, Nick Airball, let's start looking at, I've just got some random clips. I don't know what they're going to be like. So let's look. There were too many of him losing. So I had to literally search into YouTube search bar. Nick Airball wins, because he was just losing so many of them. Don't know if that's foreshadowing, but we'll see.
We don't really limp a lot in Chicago. I don't really know how to respond. Yeah, me neither.
All right, so we got a limp pot, and Nick Airball's just checked the big blind, I guess, with A4.
For Airball. Queen for pink.
Bingo!
Oh, wow. That would.
All right. The snap check on the turn, very good. Not leading out on the flop. Probably okay. I would lead out on the flop if I had an aggressive image like Nick, but whatever, because the queen is often going to be checking the flop. But the snap check on the turn makes up for the check on the flop, because he's very likely going for a check raise. This is like the dream spot to be checking, and actually probably quite an intelligent snap check on the turn, much better than a tank check. Because if you're playing against a recreational player like this guy, I'm just going to make a live read here. I'm just going to guess that this guy and this guy and this guy. Oh, actually, it's Elliot Lesra. Don't worry about it. Sorry to age shame Elliot Lesra. Shout out to one of the goats. Definitely these two. If you ever had to, draw an image of a person that's not a professional poker player and potentially isn't going to be, playing the best, it might be these two. It might be Pink and Persson. So the snap check makes a lot of sense, because when you're going to be raising the turn, you want to be selling the idea that you've just randomly started to represent quads. And the snap check to a recreational player is going to look like, oh, he hasn't got anything. He's snap checked. So you want to snap check and then tank raise and look suspicious against the recreational players.
Would be quads for Nick Airball. And Pink's not lying when he says, I got it.
Or non-picture card in Eric's hand, for the record.
I don't think so.
That's what I thought I saw.
That would be
10,000 sizing is fantastic. It's actually really fantastic. Here's one of the things I've noticed about watching like Rampage and Mariano and people like this, Brado, and most of the time they're using very normal sizes because that's what the solver actually doesn't even use normal sizes. That's what people who badly teach solver outputs use. The solver actually uses like huge overbets all the time if you allow it to, if you put that input in. But people just end up, you know, they're raised to like 3,800 here or 4,200 here because that's kind of like the normal thing to do. But actually, it makes a lot of sense to go 10,000 here. Firstly, from theoretical standpoint, because you're representing quads, so you're very polarized. You're trying to make a queen fold if you are bluffing. And on an exploitive standpoint, Pink here has got a full house against, and he's like, we've got an aggressive opponent. Obviously, you have 0% bluffs here in reality, but he doesn't know that, and he sees he's got a full house. It's actually a thing I used to do when, let's say the board was like 8-8-8 ace. When I was playing online, I would just go all in for like 30 times the pot, and people would just always call, you know, playing like the micro stakes and stuff like that, because people are just like, yeah, I've got a full house. What am I meant to be doing? They don't think of like relative hand strength.
shocking because it would mean I have 3 cards. I'm going to narrow down the colors.
And as you can see, just the power of exponentials here. If you'd gone to like 3,800, which a lot of you guys would, no offense, you suddenly, instead of having a 21k pot, you would have had something like a 9k pot, which means that your river bet would have to be like, even if you overbet like 15k, but you can overbet this one to like 30k, and it's just such a big difference mathematically. So use big sizes with big hands unless you have a very good reason not to. Come check out Elite University, 50% off for the first 2 months using this code. Boom.
Airball makes it 10k,
Oh
Pink
gosh.
calls. How much will Airball look for here?
Maybe.
Ah, it's the worst river. Ace and a queen are the 2 rivers you don't want to see. It's so sad. All right, pause the video, except don't pause the video because I pause it for you. And what size would you go here? Interestingly enough, the more aggressive your image is, the bigger you can go. So if you're Nick Airball, I would probably go something like 30k. If it was a brick, I'd probably go something like 45, but I think I'll go something like 30.
Maybe this can save them. They're just playing for a chop at this point if you're in Pink's mind.
Lining up a pretty big overbet, it looks like. There it goes.
Very impressive sizing. I think 30, 40, definitely. Maybe 40 is even better than 30. It's an intuition spot because I don't know how aggressive he's been on the day. I don't know how stationary Pink is. But yeah, actually, this hand from Nick Airball is, I wasn't expecting this to begin with. It is a 10 out of 10. The snap check on the turn, the sizing on the turn, him having a value hand, so this is surprisingly good. I'm not going to say this is how good he is at poker, but surprisingly good poker so far from Nick Airball.
You got it.
And did he just say?
There it goes.
You got it.
How do I lose all these hands? Oh, nice hand.
A little bit of slow.
Okay, the you got it, then table and quads, the ultimate slow roll is fantastic if the guy is fine. Shout out to Pink for taking that extremely well. You can't do that against many people without getting shot in the face in America, but that's pretty funny. I mean, overall, yeah, Nick played it 10 out of 10. Sorry to Pink. You ran into a situation where even the most aggressive players in the world are never, ever, ever, ever bluffing. So you played it awfully. Nick played it perfectly. So we've got a 3-bet from Pink, who's obviously a loose recreational player, Nick Airball. Calling a 3-bet.
You hate. So dumb.
And he bets pot on the flop. Instantly, when somebody bets pot here, by the way, my alarm bells go off very, very much.
Why do you hate money?
Trips for Pink. Airball has a king.
So dumb.
That was, I had myself about $10,000 worth of fun right there.
You did.
I did.
I would actually I'd probably call turn, fold all rivers, apart from a king. And the reason for that is that he's very polarized when he goes this size. I would snap call turn and then fold all rivers because people love to double barrel these spots with ace jack, jack 10, hearts and stuff like that. They very infrequently will go for the triple barrel bluff because it looks like we can just have either a king or a queen, and people hate bluffing off strong looking ranges, even recreational players. So I'd snap call turn and then fold river. Don't get idiot thoughts of now we have the perfect hand to block a raise on the river because we block all the boats. Don't. If you think that, you've been tricked by some GTO coaches that tell you need to have bluffs in all situations. Don't even start. Trust me.
34.
Again, please let me know in the comments if I speak too quickly about poker stuff. I know sometimes I need to like slow down and dumb down, not dumb down, but like use simpler language for newer players. But let me know if that was too quick talking about blocker bluff raises and stuff like that on the river.
It's
Okay, in
true.
the pot.
He never shows hands. What are you thinking about that?
Pink fires 25K, goes bet, bet.
Also, this is never, ever a bluff. Who in the right mind ever goes bet pot, bet less than pot, bet like 3/4 pot or whatever that is on the river? Nobody ever does that. It's just not a thing. People only ever do that as value in these kind of situations where the river hasn't changed. So this screams to me like a queen. Like it screams like a queen.
He's stingy.
Can Nick get away from it? Also, who's ever bluffing and then does this face? Check this guy's face.
Fires 25K, goes bet, bet, bet.
He's stingy.
Not that Nick's looking, but come on.
Queen or nothing for pink. That's what's running through
I have a theory
Airball's
about
mind
that.
right now.
I think I'm the only tournament player that shows almost every hand.
Not a bad hand here for Airball.
Yeah,
I show more than everybody else by 10x because I think it's one more way to influence the way other people think.
I think so. As long as you feel confident you're able to outthink and process the information given to you.
You'll notice I never show a bluff.
I might have just made a live read on a guy that just has Tourette's because you can't see his face right now, but maybe the editor can put that in. He just did this like 3 times in a row. I don't know if he's almost always doing that and he just has Tourette's or some kind of tic, or if that's literally only when he has a value bet on the river.
I've never shown nothing.
Queen.
Pink gets paid off.
Classy from Pink, just saying queen straight away, not slow rolling after what just happened. So yeah, I'm just going to rate that like a... He played it fine up until the river, but the fact that he called the river is like so disastrous in that spot, given how many reasons he had to fold. So I'll give that just like a 4 out of 10. Again, a big hand versus a big hand. Can Nick play this one well? So we've got a raise with ace jack suited.
That's what, yeah, he's actually great.
Right, go.
Airball in there.
How much is
Tilly,
it,
yeah,
65?
why not with the 5 deuce
Okay.
of diamonds?
Jen, I'm rooting for you.
Tilly's got the old TMM. Too much money.
Rooting for me too.
I like
really
her
are.
hand.
I've met Tilly and her husband Phil Luck in person. They came up to me about 8 years ago and said that they were big fans, and I was like, "What?" It was like before I was like a big name in poker, and I was flabbergasted because I'd been watching Phil Luck and Jennifer Tilly on the big game since I was like just getting into poker, and they were just such lovely people.
Jack
too.
5-5.
I like it as well. Jeff.
Bang!
Repeat.
Just saw that
I'm not a big fan of that style of commentary, just for the record.
flop.
Jackson 5s for Airball, but trip 5s.
We need to do an Eric Persson video. Guys, would you like to see Eric Persson? How good is he really? He's actually got me blocked on Twitter. Maybe I could tell you why, because it's related to the Robbie thing.
For Tilly, as Persson leads for 10K and gets called twice.
Kind of a very good dream scenario right now if you're Nick Airball, if Eric Persson checks the turn, because Tilly almost always has a jack here when she just overcalls. It's very hard for her to have a 5. Obviously, when she has 5-2 suited, she has more 5x than you would expect, but you don't expect her to have 5-2 suited. So if Eric checks here, you can really do some intelligent stuff here on the turn. Let's see if he manages to do it.
It's the 6.
Check.
Persson checks and Airball fires 20.
25 is kind of annoying. You actually would rather go a size that's a little bit smaller, maybe like 10 to 15, because then if Tilly raises, you can get out of there, and you're going a size where she's very incentivized to start raising her 5x. Whereas if you go 10 to 15k and she calls, you can just blast the river and get called because you have a crazy image and she's Jennifer Tilly. This size is kind of like, you're not really defining your opponent's range. And this is where betting small can be really intelligent sometimes. You make people raise their strong hands, meaning they cap themselves in certain situations. And you can either go for big bluffs on the river against cap ranges or very thin value bets against cap ranges as well.
25K. Tilly happy to just call once more.
Love this side of Tilly. It just looks like a worse jack. Too quick
Yeah, Tilly playing this well, apart from the punt pre-flop.
calls on the flop again on the turn.
River's an 8. 100K in the pot.
Call.
Ace jack.
Very good sizing from Nick on the end. He played this pretty well. He lost some finesse points that not many people, even some of the top pros, they wouldn't have found that bet small on the turn thing. Another intelligent thing is you could just go big turn, big river, or big turn, small river, like something like that. Really, that would have been some like nuanced stuff to really target a jack in a lot of different ways. He just kind of went for standard sizing, so, you know, lacking creativity in that certain spot. But most people wouldn't have been creative. Let's see how he reacts.
I have.
Airball bets 40K, gets snapped off. Jennifer Tilly wins a
Well,
$180,000 pot
I guess I did not lose the stand-up game.
and gets
Did
to
not.
sit
And-
down.
Stand-up game is on as well, which makes 5x a little bit more likely as well. Jennifer, not raising river there. All right. As you wish. By the way, I've got a new suit on. I've even got matching pants, as you call it in America, or matching trousers, as we call it here. A little fancy thing. This is why it's nice to have female friends. They can just dress you. But as we're all raging homosexuals here and we love to rate each other's clothing out of 10, please rate my clothing choices out of 10, as we all are here to really just speak about men's fashion. So it's kind of like a running thing on this channel. Let's find Nick Airball gets heated versus Matt Berkey in high stakes poker. I might have seen
Oh,
this
here we
already.
go.
Poison came in.
That's all.
Comes with the limp, Berkey.
Looks good.
I literally turned up, it looked like I'd been in the hospital.
Wait.
Stay
Like if
for 10
everyone
minutes.
is like, this is soft, I'm doing
Dusted off
great,
700k and left.
then like, it's a good lineup.
I know that's what people are truly here for. It's my suit choices. All right, so we got a limp from Matt Berkey playing exactly 100k. I believe this is right at the beginning of the night, if I remember this hand correctly. I can't remember what happens. I don't like limping aces at the beginning. I don't like limping aces in general in blind versus blind situations. Don't care what the solver says. If you have an opponent that's aggressive enough to start raising, you also have an opponent that's aggressive enough to start 3-betting pretty wide anyway. And if Airball's not raising A4 suited versus a limp, which is one of those hands that this deep you do want to be raising quite often, he's not going to be raising that much at all. So, yeah. I don't like the limp, but whatever.
Wait.
Like
Stay
if
for 10
everyone
minutes.
is like this,
Why did you even come for like, you know, like...
What better way to spend 700? You know?
Matt Berkey going for the check. I assume going for a check raise here. It's fine.
You could have just like, I think you should just stay in bed. But obviously it's a
At
bit
least
late
to
to
have
advise
a
that now.
great deal of heads-up
Yeah,
experience.
What was that advice?
Clearly, Nick.
You were giving that opposite.
In the midst of a
I
death
was
match
just saying,
about
you look- I
halfway
just say you
through.
look-
Both have bald heads. One has a shinier head than the other. We'll have to rate that out of 10 as well, but I don't feel like I'm qualified. I feel like the shinier head usually gets the better of the less shiny head.
But you know, I mean, I'm always going to say that, right?
I think it's 3 days a week. They got to
Terrible.
complete 100 hours.
How you got back into the game, Lynn?
Berkey's
you were
up
playing like
around
1-2 or something.
300,000 right now.
Clean turn
In this
from Matt.
So if you're Matt, you have to be thinking, what is my opponent's range, or what am I going to do about it? This is how we teach poker. We don't teach you what to think. We teach you how to think at Elite University. What is my opponent's range, and what am I going to do about it? Well, what is his range? What is Airball's range? He's going to have some Jack X, some 7X, some Deuce X, some straight draws, some flush draws, and some floats. That is his range. You're welcome. If you want to be a very, very good professional poker player, you have to be able to do this extremely quickly. Not only just say what their range, and then you also then have to say, what are we going to do about it? So we want to get value from Jack X, 7X, Deuce X, floats, flush draws, and straight draws. So you have to also intuitively be going, how much will a deuce call? How much will a 7 call? How much will a jack call? How much will a king 3 of hearts be calling? How much will a flush draw be calling? And then make another layer of assessment. What's the best size to go if we are going to be betting, which we definitely are in this situation, based on, do we want to try and target just the Jack X plus, or do we want to target even just like the super strong hands plus? Also, by the way, Nick Airball can have some 2 pairs as well, so we're not always ahead in this kind of situation, although the snap call on the flop makes it a lot less likely it's 2 pair. He can have king 7, he can have king deuce even, so there are some 2 pair combos that just turns, but usually we just have the best hand based on the timing of the flop. So my intuition says we probably want to be going something like 10k, something along those lines. Make sure a jack is really calling, a flush draw is really calling. You also have to be aware that he can have 7x of diamonds and king x of diamonds. So these pair and flush draws, they will call any size. So in some worlds where you have a set, you can also just go like 2.5x pot on the turn, but our hand isn't strong enough to do that. There's a lot that goes into poker, by the way. If you're curious, the top players are thinking a lot more than you're thinking. It looks like they're playing the same game, but there's even more. Like, I just spurted off some things in 30 seconds. You can go so much deeper into these kind of situations.
Yeah, I thought you were playing like
all of
1-2.
you lovely
I thought
people,
you
I
were
just
playing at
passed
1-2 at
up.
the Commoners.
I haven't been playing much poker these last few years, actually. Yeah.
You said the commoners?
Commerce.
Oh, the commerce.
Yeah.
Have you got?
I was playing one with the
Have you
commoners.
got OnlyFans?
I'm like,
page?
damn, these
No, but
Brits
I
are
do
really
have a real
elite,
job
huh?
No.
Goes for the overbet.
We're,
I bet exactly 10. That's what I said, right? Nice hand.
Play
we
spirit.
do loans for businesses.
Wait till he finds that out.
So the 10 and the snap call. Interestingly enough, the snap call isn't as indicative now, because if he does somehow have just Jack Deuce offsuit or something like that, he's never going to be raising. So the snap call kind of like if Berkey had bet a third pot and then hit snap calls, you'd be like, okay, 2-pair would have at least considered raising there. But when it's an overbet, Jack Deuce is just always calling. So it doesn't really narrow or cap his range as much as it normally would. Again, interesting nuances, timing tells based on range analysis. Like, please tell me if this is too high level. But I do think that I can explain these quite complex things in quite simple ways. But please do give me feedback in the comments to see if I'm doing it too much, if I'm speaking too quickly, or if I'm going too deep.
Well, it's like high
Airball's
risk, high default, and also high interest.
Need a loan, Rob?
Yeah. Can I have a loan? I like the high risk, high default.
Flush does
Yeah.
come in for Airball.
What do we sign up?
Means we'd have to pay, yeah.
Yeah, no collateral, sounds like. It's a big interest rate if we pay it back, right?
Yeah.
Every single video I've done, there's been an attractive Asian sitting at the table, and it's been a different one every single time. I'm starting to think there's some like grand conspiracy going on behind the scenes where they just have a rotary of attractive Asian women that they're like, okay, we need to fill the seat. We've got a quota of one. It's never two as well. It's always one. There's something weird happening in the air.
Yeah, it's big interest. But if you don't plan on paying, it's...
All right, interesting spot, by the way, if you're Berkey. The Ace of Diamonds actually less relevant of a blocker than you might expect. And the reason for that, if you can replay the hand. Actually, pause the video and see if you can tell me why. Replay the hand. The reason is that we limped in pre-flop as Berkey, and we didn't get raised. Now, Airball would be raising Ace 3, Ace 4, Ace 5, Ace 6, Ace 7 of diamonds. We're deep stacked, he would just be raising them. So we're blocking the Ace X offsuit because he might check Ace 3 offsuit, Ace 4 offsuit, hands like that. But that doesn't really matter because he wouldn't have got to the river with those hands. Maybe Ace 7 with the Ace of Diamonds would potentially be in there, but Ace Jack would have raised pre-flop. So it's literally, basically, the Ace of Diamonds is just an irrelevant blocker. It looks juicy. It looks like you might be blocking stuff to the less trained eye, but in this exact situation, it is pretty much a nothing burger. Is Berkey going to keep firing and try and get maximum value against maybe a king, but very likely just a jack, like Jack 8 offsuit? I don't like the idea of firing here. I think it would actually be quite a big mistake, but let's find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you bet, it needs to be like a quarter pot and then just kind of pray. And then if he raises, cry. But I think just check and probably fold, to be honest.
Berkey having that Ace of
I feel like I
Diamonds
know
in
you
his
really
hand.
well. I've seen so many naked pictures of
It's
you.
like he's targeting the jack.
Yeah, targeting that jack.
Yeah, what was
Nick.
up with that week?
This could
I
be
was just like,
problematic,
I
assuming
like
Airball
dude,
comes
and I
with a
just see,
raise.
like, limb naked. I'm like, what the?
And we know this guy is
Like, main event
capable of
swap.
coming
Then
with
you
bluffs.
moved it.
Airball.
And then it was back to poker. And I'm
Tough
like, did I
spot coming
imagine
for
that?
Berkey.
Imagine being in a situation where, because Berkey's about to get raised, right? And on either side of you, you have Doug Polk and Lynn just screaming. And as a watcher, having both of them plus the commentators talking about the hands, it is too much. Like, this is too much. There's the thing about private games, you can be loose and chatting and stuff like that. When a pot starts getting big, you're meant to like calm down, especially if you're kind of like speaking over people. For me, this is kind of like, I run games, and this is kind of like, if I saw two people doing this, I'd just be like,
See a picture of a giant brownish dick on your
okay. All right, I'm gonna rate this table talk 2.5 out of 10. Let's move on.
Twitch.
That was a bad one.
Oh,
And it stayed up
boy.
for like 3 days.
All the cranberries
I was
going
like,
for
huh.
all of it.
Okay, so when
Like
I
giants,
get sent
and he's like
unsolicited
this.
dick pics,
I'm actually kind of annoyed right now that there's just been a raise to in Berkey's entire stack. So it's going to be a 200k pot if Berkey calls, which he definitely shouldn't, by the way. But we'll get to that in a second. If I'm Berkey and I just hear some woman scream about unsolicited dick pics, I would be furious. I would be so annoyed at that. Anyway.
I didn't ask to see it. Everyone else who didn't
this
ask
a-
to see it should share in the pain.
Okay, we've got a big hand here.
You're being a bit of a dick.
Oh boy.
Nothing like a pun whilst there's a 200k pot going at it. Just throw out a very 3 out of 10 pun, Doug. Can everybody just SCF you for a fucking second?
Who's in the hand? Oh.
Who's in the hand?
careful with the chips.
See, it's not just
Take
me.
a breath, guys. Take a breath. You know what I mean?
If you want, we can all just leave. You've been doing that anyway.
Berkey's only got $2 behind him. Why have you gone all in for 500?
How much does he have, Rob?
A little $2.
The chat's going nuts here, Nick.
Did you expect them
It's a
not
little
to
bit
So many
sick.
think they're gonna.
So Airball raising on the river, very good. Analyzing the call in turn, by the way, is maybe a little bit too loose. But raising the river definitely makes a lot of sense given the Berkey bet pretty small. Berkey now has, I think, an extremely easy fold. Like Berkey can still technically have a flush. He can still have sets. He can still have loads of other hands. I know Berkey is a little bit more GTO-y than I think quite a lot more GTO-y than I am. I'm curious if he is going to make this call because the ace of diamonds is complete. Like it's just irrelevant. It looks like it should be relevant, but it's just absolutely not relevant. Very hard to find a bluff here. Like he'd have to be turning a jack into a bluff, something along these lines. Maybe like jack 8 with the 8 of diamonds. It's just very hard for Nick Airball to have a big diamond in his hand because most of them that could get to the river here would have just raised pre-flop. Like queen 10 offsuit with the queen of diamonds could potentially float flop, call turn, bluff river, but it would have just raised pre-flop. So it's just so hard to find a natural bluff here. It's like generally people want to have the ace of diamonds if they're bluffing, but Nick Airball just never has the ace of diamonds here on the river. He would need to get so creative to find a bluff here, and it's just, yeah, your blockers are irrelevant. Hard for him to find a bluff. In my opinion, one of the easiest folds. Let's see if Matt can figure it out.
Fold. They're screaming for him to fold. A lot of people think he's gonna call.
9-10 is a very real hand. Airball can
You told him
have
about ankle biters,
the double
right?
gut shot.
10-9 maybe raises pre-flop though, Mr. My favorite commentator.
On the
What's his name?
turn.
Brick City.
It's the ace of diamonds.
I can't think of his name. Put the commentator's name up on the screen, by the way. It's just the best.
Kind
In
of.
JRB's game when we were like playing 2, 4, 3, 6.
It would be a
me
good
and
fold
then
if he
just,
came
like,
with it. Don't you think?
Jeremy.
other
Jeremy's
players.
an ankle biter.
Jeremy and then Daria. Yeah, we would always buy in
Jeremy
for like
who?
whatever the min was. Jeremy Stein something. He's from the like DC.
Berkey gets stacked right away.
Oh boy.
Life?
Whoa. Let's call it a 7 for Nick Airball. Berkey, I think that river call is really, really bad. I don't know how he thinks. I mean, I'm sure he's got his reasons. He's an intelligent guy, but I can't imagine why he did that. For me, it's a pretty disastrous call. Anyway, I can see the cards. Who knows? Maybe I'd make a different call. Nick Airball losing $1 million fast. Should we do that? Or I think I looked at this one and I was like, it was just kings versus ace king, but the first hand looked like it would be fun. A little bit of behind the scenes, as I mentioned that I would say, is that Nick Airball is actually one of the tighter players when he's actually playing these private games. So I think he does the thing where he markets like crazy, plays like a loose goose on the stream, as Gazzy B would say, and then just knits up behind the scenes and gets invited to these games because of his crazy image. So I imagine he actually makes quite a lot of money in these private games. So good for him, but I'm bursting his bubble of appearance here. Apologies for that, Nick.
Raise to 600. Let's try again. 24. 24.
Rampage is making cameos in all of my videos at the moment. Sorry, Rampage. I love you, bro. For real though, can we I've looked at the comments on Rampage's videos and it's loads of people just been like, bro, stop putting so much money in these high stakes games. Rampage, if you ever see this, maybe somebody clip this and send it to him, bro, stop putting so much money in these high stakes games until you get some coaching from somebody that knows how to play high stakes private games. Don't get GTO coaching, don't do all this solver stuff, don't talk about blockers, because first of all, you're not doing that well either. But secondly, you're playing against people that this GTO knowledge is completely irrelevant against, and you're playing for such huge amounts of money. There are some worlds where in the future and you're 50 years old and you just have like not that much money and you look back at these moments like, what have I done? Like why was I blasting 300k in a spot that I didn't even understand the situation? Like why didn't I just get coaching and become way better at poker and then start playing the high stakes if I'm even going to do it in the first place? So really, Rampage, like as a man to a man and just like somebody that I'm saying this in a caring way, stop playing such high stakes until you're much better at poker. I don't know how much money you're making from behind the scenes. I heard you crushed in some of the games that you're running, but like, dude, come on, you gotta put the brakes on.
7. You raised to 7,000.
So yeah, this is the kind of thing that there's no way that Nick would be doing this off stream. This is marketing. But I know that he did still want to win, so he's going to be playing well and just loose pre-flop, I think was his strategy. So yeah, Francesco in a very difficult situation. Calling is completely reasonable given exactly how deep we are. This is, yeah, it's extremely, extremely deep. They're playing 200 straddle, so it's 300 big steep. I would probably just 5-bet, maybe even just 5-bet rip it in. But that being, just because it's Nick Airball, but that being said, calling can never be too bad. So when you're Nick, you have to be thinking, okay, Francisco probably has aces, maybe, a lot of like pocket queens, pocket jacks, and then 16 combinations of ace king, potentially 16 combinations of ace king, one of which is ace king of hearts. So now I think what I would do is I'd probably check the flop, because I would expect he's obviously going to be betting aces. He's probably going to be betting queens, and he's probably going to be betting jacks maybe like half the time. If it goes check, he has ace king like 70% of the time. So I'd probably check the flop.
Check.
I don't know if I'm just running bad or running good on the types of hands that I'm choosing so far. Nick playing well so far, like surprisingly well.
Check.
So pause the video and decide what you do here as Nick. You have a 5. It's actually very, like, there's one type of hand you need to be paying attention to, and it happens to be the exact type of hand that Francisco has. I hope I'm saying that right. Francisco. And it's ace king with 1 heart. And those types of hands now went from having 6 outs against you to having an extra 9 outs, so 15 outs, if I'm getting that right. So you need to be charging those hands specifically. Now, we know that he doesn't have aces. We know probably doesn't have queens or jacks. So we can pretty much just isolate most of the time him having ace king. A bunch of the time it's going to have a heart in. What would ace king with 1 heart call? Probably something like 8,000, 10,000, something like that. I'll probably bet something along those lines.
Check. Check.
And the problem is those 2 hands that I mentioned are going to be checking behind all the time as well. So now we just give him too many outs. I don't know if Nick's ever going to find this, but wait, how deep are we? We have 3x pot behind. What would you guys do? Think about it. You don't have to comment every single time, but think about what you would do. This is meant to be an educational stream as much as roasting literally just Rampage at the moment. Sorry, Rampage. Love you, bro. I think shove is the best answer here. Depending on a couple of things. Depending on Francisco's loose versus tightness, how good he is at making hero calls, and then based on Nick's image at the time. But I think shove is sexy here because you're never ahead, literally never ahead. By shoving here, it looks like everybody knows that Francisco is meant to have ace king here a lot. And by shoving, you'd be like, wait, what am I meant to be doing? Like, he knows I have ace king. Why would he bluff me in this kind of situation? And there's a lot of these kind of situations that will come up where you like call a 3-bet on like 10-4 deuce, turn goes check, you're like, my opponent's got ace king, and then the river's an ace, and you're just like, damn it. And you can't do much apart from there is this one thing where you can just like 4x pot shove sometimes in these situations. Other than that, I think check fold is just going to be the best answer. I don't think check raise is good. People just call.
All in.
All in.
Not bad, Nick Airball. Not bad. Nick playing these hands. Again, pre-flop, don't ever do this unless you're marketing for the private games, and then you're going to play like an absolute nit. Again, sorry to burst your bubble, Nick. I've just heard too many stories of how he plays behind the scenes. But, I coach a lot of people that play high stakes, so I've got a very good insight, and I'm involved in the private game scene now. Thank hallelujah, by the way. And yeah, some people just play very loose and then play very tight. Absolutely beautiful shove. Like, really, really understand this. There's no way that he did this without understanding this situation very well. So I know his thought process here, and I know it's basically what I said. I'm going to dock a 1.5 for the turn not betting, because I think that is a serious mistake. Maybe I would dock 2 points for that. But I'm going to give this hand an 8 out of 10. Whether Francisco is the type of player that is going to consider folding this, again, against Nick, who knows? But the fact that he went for it is just a very intelligent bluff. I don't know if it's the best move, because maybe Francisco is just always going to be calling ace king. He might always cool when he has a heart at least, but I literally don't know how he plays. But if he's the kind of person that can make these folds, it's fantastic. But again, just the thought process alone, it really is like a good 8 out of 10 for this hand. And the river's a 10 out of 10.
This is my mom's fault. You know what I mean? I'm more accountable than your mom.
What the hell?
Right? Can't wait to
The scary thing about bluffing recreational players is sometimes they just get a random thought and you can't predict what thought they're going to get and they just go with it. This is why in MTTs, again, in like the really high stakes MTTs, you're not meant to do too much bluffing against recreational players because your chips are worth so much because they're just going to dust off 100 big blinds to you at some point with second pair. But you just can't predict the thoughts that they're going to have. And so you're putting the variance of the tournament in their hands. In cash games, it's less so because ICM doesn't exist. Again, this is very complex stuff, very nuanced stuff. Just don't worry if you're just here for the roasting side of things or if you're here for the suit. But it's scary because he might just have a thought like, why is he betting so big? He must be bluffing. And it's like you can't control for that. You can't stop people from having ridiculous thoughts. So you just have to hope that he's going to land on one of these thoughts that's going to lead him to folding.
Oh my God, really, Nick?
Nick's giving off a towel right now, by the way. My students will know exactly what I'm talking about. This could make, not that Francisco will know it because it's a nuanced like group of specific like 3 or 4 things. If you know what you're looking for, you know what you're looking for, just so you know.
So Nick Airball going nuts here, putting Francisco in a spot with 1 pair.
Oh, when you bluff in there as Nick and he starts moving his chips forward, you're like, no, chill.
Betting 3x pot to put Francisco to the test.
I think hustlers should use plaques. I like plaque. They've got nice chips, but they should use plaques and they should use big chunks of money if they can as well.
Why so much?
Nick with just a pair of 5s. Francisco surely will not want to fold a hand, not want to fold a hand like Ace King with the King of Hearts. But Nick is really making this tough. Even with the heart against most players facing this size.
Sorry guys, I don't care enough to actually watch him tag for 3 minutes. Oh, he folded.
Yeah.
Does he show?
Does let it go.
You're a nit.
And what a bluff for Nick Airball.
And you should not sit that deep ever.
3x.
That's pretty funny. The fact that he can get away with saying that stuff that, I mean, some other people are probably going to be thinking. It's pretty funny. I got to be honest, this video is making me like Nick Airball actually significantly more. Let's watch him lose $1 million fast. Let's end on... wait, there was this one I think I wanted to watch. Let's watch him losing $1 million fast.
Were you betting? I was like, oh, I feel really good.
Your hand on the turn.
That meant there were a lot of rivers I was getting paid on.
God, it's so sick if he 3-bet. I'm like,
Ace could be contemplating a 4-bet here.
He's got 7th year offsuit and he's beat 3-bet cutoff versus button versus cutoff. All right. Don't know how this is going to be a hand highlight, all right?
Threes? Yeah, if you 3. Alex, it's not a player.
Hold on. Do we need to go into therapy? Yes. Please tell me about...
Yeah, I was going to say, this is more recent. This is only a couple of months ago they posted this. Although it's probably highlights of different sessions.
Your thoughts on the ace-queen, so we can get to the deep root of the problem.
Deep root of the problem. This guy's hating fucking carrot.
Going right now, but 4-betting at the worst time, right into aces.
Yep, don't do that unless you're marketing.
Jack.
And if you're Taurus,
Jack 10.
Greedy.
Tara should call here 100% of the time, by the way. If he shoves, it's a disaster.
I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm way too greedy
there, but
The reason for that is the SPR, stack to pot ratio, is going to be very small by the time he calls. So let's imagine he calls is going to be 53k in the pot. And you're only going to have 82k behind effective. Again, I'm speaking quickly. But just imagine it's 50k in the pot, 80k left in the stack. It's very easy to stack somebody when there's only a little bit more versus how much is in the pot. That's what SPR, stack to pot ratio, means. And this is one of the things you use to determine whether you slow play aces. Because if you have like a big SPR and there's loads left to play, you need to get more in the middle to make sure that you're, you know, stacking those hands. But when it's shallower stacks, it's a lot easier to stack them, so you should always be calling. Hope that makes sense. SPR explained in 15 seconds.
I thought you had Jack 10.
Folding everything.
Yeah. I mean, King, Queen, maybe you wouldn't.
King, Queen might be the one.
I can respect trying to win the whole clip, though, you know? I can respect that. That's a move out of the airball.
Nice. Taras, I think, has been getting better at poker since he's played on these streams. I did see him randomizing recently, which is kind of funny. Guys, don't randomize. Don't be like, oh, call this 50% of the time. It is not a clever thing to do, especially in private games. It's very anti-intelligence, I would say. But apart from that, Taras he's been playing significantly better from what I've seen.
Trap has been set.
Don't leave anything.
But usually he knows how to
Airball, 7-3 offsuit.
If you win that pot, you're going to win all.
Also known as 7 high, up against aces.
Got some outs for me to call there.
If you nick airball here, you kind of want to go for a c-bet. You just have to make sure he folds ace, king, ace, queen. So you just literally just go, what size will ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack fold? And the answer is going to be something like 18k. This is literally how simple these spots are, because Taras's range is pretty narrow between like aces sometimes, queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, 8s sometimes if he's 3-betting those, and then ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, maybe some king, queen suited and things like that as well. But mostly it's just those hands. It's a very, very easy spot to play, despite the fact that you have 7-3 offsuit. So you just bet 18k, and when he continues, you just give up and try and hit an 8.
We saw one earlier, right?
8 and 8.
8 ball corner pocket.
He's got to roll over like
10's actually kind of awful, because now if he has ace king, he might feel inclined to just continue, and you kind of have to now double barrel and then lose more against the hands that are going to continue. I actually really, really dislike this. And you give him a chance to hit an ace or a king as well. It's like, I really don't like it.
4 or 5 suited or something with just nothing. And then Charles, went all in. Yeah, that was sick.
Were you here when that happened?
Yeah, I didn't see it though. I don't know what hand he had.
I don't think.
He bluffs it and interest.
You know what I mean?
There was a
picks up a 7.
I just remember the river.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you're probably going to run into a set a little bit too often to start bluffing. I think I would just check down now and try and hope he has ace king. Now we've hit a 7, we can start hoping he has ace king. Yeah.
I remember the board. So
4 to a straight out there now. Terrace has to look at.
The guy calls.
7 checks.
The pot, I'm going to make up some numbers. The pot has
Airball
like
slows down, beating a hand like ace king now.
7 or an 8 doesn't come.
So queen comes. Do we now want to consider bluffing? I think the answer is almost 1,000,000% no. Taras can still have a set. He can still have a straight. He can still have pocket aces. He can now have pocket queens for another set. By bluffing, I think we're just trying to get him to fold maybe some ace 10 suited if he has that pre-flop, maybe. Ace queen probably just end up calling. Yeah, I think check here and just try and, yeah. Your hand has loads of showdown value against the potential loads of combinations of ace king if he doesn't shove it pre. Which recreational players will sometimes do this pretty often.
Terrace is aces.
Terrace goes, how much do you have? And I'm like,
all in.
Yeah, I think it's a massive punt, unfortunately, from Nick Airball. I'm going to, obviously pre-flop, he's marketing, so whatever, I'm not going to really rate that. The flop size, I think, was very non-specific, non-nuanced, kind of doing the opposite of what you want to achieve. And then the river, I think you're just burning probably like 25k EV here.
In and outs from Airball.
I made a joke at the table, like making fun of asking that.
Terrace doesn't love it.
And then Terrace thinks it over and goes, I'm all in.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then I'm like, oh shit, I was out of line there.
You felt really bad for laughing. Yeah.
I am out of line. Yeah. And then the guy finally bolts, and Terrace was deuces. So he just check raised just the straight deuces on the turn.
Airball, all in with 7.
I remember
pair of 7s.
Yeah, I think
I'm in a tough spot here. What the fuck am I?
Doug's still going for like the just yelling over people whilst people are in the big hands. Kind of is a little bit annoying in my opinion. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just like you gotta, as the commentator said, just take a breath.
What's to do?
Terrace shows everybody the aces.
Why not land?
Damn, Terrace is getting some premiums here.
Yeah, and
even saying Taras is getting some premiums here can influence the action. You should not be saying this in a pot that you're not involved in, or if it's a 3-way pot or anything like that. It can just make him feel like, I've got a premium here. I can't be, I've got to put the money in. Laughing again in this spot when he shows his hand could influence the action, making Taras think, oh, it's such an obvious call or it's such an obvious fold.
That was an expert needle. We need to get him on the upswing team. He sees that head in this spot, and he's like, God, this guy's running so much.
Doug just needs to shut the fuck up. Sorry, Doug. Yeah, stop fucking talking. It's like this is a situation where other people are going to read into the words that you're having. Nick Airball is bluffing or he's betting for $72,000. Stop saying stuff that can influence the action.
But I mean, there's an 8. I mean, is it like an obvious call or something?
No, we're not.
Precisely my point. Now he's literally thinking, thank you for illustrating that, Mr. Taras. Now he's thinking, oh, they're laughing at me. Am I definitely meant to be calling? Well, there's an 8 out there. Is it an obvious fold? Like, what's going on? And instead of thinking about the hands, and he's now being influenced by people talking, this is one of the reasons you're just meant to STFU when people are in big pots. Like, I get it's a private game, but you gotta have some tact.
We have no say, other than we're still angry that you won the left hand.
I didn't even watch the hand. I was telling stories.
Yeah, we were laughing about something else. It was nothing to do with that.
Nobody knows.
I think they realized their error, and they're like, no, just kidding.
Look at Nick, man.
Doug, for God's sake, look at Nick, man, is not something you're meant to say whilst they're playing a potential $215,000 pot. You can't say that, bro. That's just so out of line. I'm giving Doug a 1 out of 10 for this episode. I don't know how he's played poker recently, but I've seen his Code Dog challenge has been. I've got an idea. I'm friends with like one of somebody that's in the conversation for the best online poker player in the world. I'm not qualified to speak about Doug's heads up online game because I'm not a heads up player. But I can get this guy in if you'd like to come sit next to me and rate Doug's play out of 10. If you like that, let me know in the comments.
We finally found how to get him to not talk.
Okay, looks like a snap.
Oh my God, this is like absolutely just gut wrenching for me. Like, it's so annoying that you can't say this stuff, dude. Like, obviously Nick's looking like he's being petrified by Medusa. Or he's looked like he's just asked out his crush in 8th grade and he's waiting for her response after he's handed her an embarrassing poem. But you can't point that out. You can't point out that he's suddenly turned into the most serious person that's ever existed, because that can influence the action.
He does.
You just gotta get him all in, and then you can enjoy your little
I don't think he's blinked yet. It's been like 2 minutes.
Oh my God, guy! I'm absolutely annoyed. I don't get this riled up. He's not blinked yet. By the way, blink rate is one of the things that people will tell you is one of the most efficient ways to tell if somebody's bluffing or not. It's actually not. I've looked into this more than you would ever imagine. Blink rate is one of the less reliable ones, but it is correlated to some different stuff. There's very nuanced conversation to be having. If you're interested in live tells, I've actually got a course on live tells. I've made millions of dollars using live tells in poker. I think I'm the best in the world at it. Honest to God, that is my true opinion. And I've never released a course. I've worked with people one-on-one. I've done 3 live tell retreats where I charged $5,000 for a ticket. But now I'm actually releasing a course, a masterclass on live tells. And if you want to take your game to the next level, and if you want to be the person that you can sit down and play the rest of the table like an instrument, this course is for you. And because it's pre-order, you can get 25% off using this code if you sign up with the link that's in the description, and I'll put it in the pinned comment. Enjoy the video. Like the video, by the way. Beautiful people. Peace. But the point is, it is a live tell, and to then say something that can influence somebody for this hand is just it's so annoying. If I were Nick, I would have a serious word with people after this.
He's not playing. This is fucking pretty good.
Do you think he's still there? Okay.
It's relentless here. Airball hasn't really been all in all night.
Should we get the medical unit?
These guys just needling him. Tara's sitting here with aces. All he has to do is say call, and he'll win himself a big one.
He's out of times in his hoodie. Look. I've seen just 4 eyes. I call.
Call. Announced.
Wow, that's a sick call.
Wow,
that is a sick call.
Nice call from...
Oh, I'm mad about that one. Sorry, Nick. Sorry you ran it. I mean, you played it bad, but you didn't deserve to lose like that. You deserve to actually have like a real shot at your bluff getting through. I would have started talking, by the way, at that point if I were Nick. I would have started just like yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping, because it looked like he was about to get the Let's watch this one. It looks fun. And he looked like he was about to get called, so I'd probably start talking. I explained this in my lifestyle course, actually. Like, you have to imagine, if your opponent's here and they're about to call and calls here, they're like on this is like the scale of where they're about to be. If they're here and they're about to call and you're bluffing, you might as well fucking say something. And this is the power of speech play. It's not so much about what you say, although that's also a nuanced conversation. It's about when you say it. And that's the most important thing with speech play. I'll give you that little nugget of information for free.
I think that's perfect.
Okay,
That's a good idea. Or just first name Arab, middle name Ball. Fun too.
Family came from.
Call maybe.
I think we're gonna go with Knox. No. Yeah. Thanks.
Two pair for action, Dan here.
I was just raging inside about that last thing. As somebody that plays a private game, it's like it tickles me the wrong way. So we've got raise, small blind limps in, so the straddle's on. 2 straddles were on. Nick Airball raises very small with ace-5 offsuit. Don't mind it, honestly. I actually kind of like it. Don't know if he's doing it for the right reasons, but you kind of just get the other straddle to fold his trash. It goes 3-way, completely fine. 5K, completely fine. I would actually use this one as a check. Having the ace of spades with a really bad kicker, I think, plays pretty nicely as a check. And it means that a lot of turn cards, people will start bluffing. So if the turn's like a 10 or a 6 or a 7 or even a 5, people pick up a lot of straight draws and they just start bluffing with their straight draws. And there's just not many hands that you can get 2 streets of value from. There are flush draws and there's 9x, but even 9x doesn't usually pay you off that often for 2 streets. So it's actually a really sexy spot to be checking.
We're still debating some middle names, but nothing's final yet. But I think we're gonna go with Knox.
How about
just makes the call.
Interesting call from Action Dan. I like it. The snap call makes it even better.
Here.
We'll know what it means.
I'm not naming my child after you.
Why not?
I'm
Only one reason that it's not a good idea.
Oh.
You should name your child after him. Like, you know, like it'll be like, you know, like the child will be able to show like his friends, like, hey, I'm named after this guy, and then he can like show the videos from the lodge and from other.
That's a great childhood.
It's like, I'm named after this guy. Like,
giving that joke a 2 out of 10. Sorry, Taris.
Airball. Dialed back into the hand. 30K up for grabs.
God damn it.
I'm surprised you didn't name your first child Ethereum.
I think I just found out how Taris got all of his money. It seems like he made it in Ethereum.
18,000 is the bet.
How about one child Bitcoin, the other one Ethereum? How about that?
I think you could do it. Getting ready for a career.
And then the third child, Binance.
And the third child's got to be named Satoshi.
Satoshi would actually be a great name for a dog.
Binance.
Why not Binance? Like, it's like the number 3 coin.
Look
or
at
whatever.
Viper. Viper's going to make grabbing calling chips here.
Dangerous.
At the time,
He's thinking otherwise.
All right, Doug pulled that joke out of the mug. That was pretty funny.
Like if you
He's
look
folding.
at the coin market cap at the time when you were being born.
This damn hand right now.
All right.
Lays it down.
Airball saved you.
Airball's got a look in his eye.
See, I'm telling you, when you're the third person, it's tough.
Viper's starting to talk a little shit over to Dan's way. Dan's not interested. He's got the best hand.
Interesting there. When he bets 18, yeah, he said he's got an ace. It's just not a spot that people bluff too much. That's the thing. It's just when everybody looks like they have an ace, nobody really ever bets 18,000 as a bluff. Interesting spot. Like the turn is already getting pretty foldy with Nick Airball, but I cannot blame him for calling that. He's got an ace. What are you going to do?
Still think I'm good.
Something like 40 seems nice. Gonna go for a smidge more, closer to 50.
Looks like 48,000.
Yeah, never in a million years is this a bluff. Looks like Nick Airball has an ace, like a pretty strong ace usually, given they raise pre-flop. And he's gonna, like, Action Dan's gonna size that it looks like Nick Airball is gonna call with an ace. So if Airball ends up calling off here, it's a big indication that he's just not understanding range analysis. He's not understanding opponents' perceived thought processes and things like that. It'd be a really, really bad call. Given by the title of the video, I think he's about to make a really bad call.
Snap. Oh, nope. Thought those chips were going to get flicked in there. Leaning call is Airball. Can he get away?
Makes this call. It's a $160,000 pot. Now.
Oh, we're oh so close to
to me, or are these chips kind of awful? Get some plaques, man. Come on. Plaques are so sexy to have on TV. They just look so nice. Having a 25k chip that looks like a tournament chip you find in the EPT or the IPT or the UK IPT, you could do so much better. It would look so cool if you just have big piles of money or plaques.
A call. Couple inches away.
Makes the call.
So again, I can't blame Nick for making this call. It just shows a lack of understanding of some of the really deeper levels of poker. It's not like, we'll wrap it up here. It's not like Nick is a bad player. It's not like he's somebody that is going to be losing in the types of games that he's going to be playing behind the scenes. He can knit it up and play some very ABC poker. He just hasn't got this extra layer of being able to think, oh, my opponent's going to be thinking this, so I should do this. That being said, when he's had these value hands, he's found very creative and intelligent ways of getting maximum value where other people wouldn't. So he's obviously very good at that. And that hands where he put Francisco in the blender with Ace King in a very intelligent way. He's got some tricks up his sleeve that are very intelligent. If he just spent $20,000 on coaching and didn't tell anybody, he would still look as crazy as he does on stream. Nick, if you ever watch this, you just get some coaching from somebody that's extremely good. In my opinion, this is what you should do at poker, that knows the private game scene, knows how people are thinking, and can be on the level above that. You can still play nuts and bananas to get your marketing, sorry for ruining that again, on these streams. At the same time, you're just going to have some of these nuanced situations where you make this fold with ace-5 because it's just pretty obvious that he's not going to be bluffing this size. If Action Dan's going to be bluffing, he's going to go a size that's targeting an ace to fold, not an ace to call. This is a very, very simple thing. Like if he's got something like 3-4 of spades, he's I'll show you the board again so you know what I'm talking about. He's gonna be going a size that ace-8, ace-10 is gonna be folding. So he's gonna probably have to go like 130% times the pot. If he's betting 2/3 or 3/4 or whatever that was on the river, that is a size that is begging an ace to call. It's a simple concept when I spell it out like that, but you have to be able to analyze and identify when that is happening and who is betting. Are they on this level or this level or this level? So that being said, I'm gonna put Nick Airball. I'm gonna put him here. I'll get the editors to put it in. I know exactly where I'm gonna be putting him. He's not the worst of the worst. He's got some really good plays, and I would feel better investing in him than I would, say, for instance, Rampage or even Corey in these very high stakes games. That being said, I'd take Corey in like a 1-2 or 2-5 game or something like that, because I think Corey just has this thing where he chokes a little when he's playing high stakes and he starts playing really scared money and he's scared to put people in spots, and it's just like he's getting a little bit run over. But you know, when Corey's playing lower stakes, he's significantly better. But yeah, Nick's still a recreational player. Like he's definitely, even though he can make a lot of money behind the scenes playing these games because he just plays tight and plays relatively well, he's still a recreational player. He hasn't put in enough time, enough effort. He's not particularly good at poker. But that being said, congratulations for him. There's many paths to success in poker. He did some incredible marketing by playing the antagonist and by, you know, trash talking people, slow rolling people, going crazy, playing mental, and now just has his name kind of solidified in the private game scene where a lot of people just invite him as a kind of recreational player. I would just say, Nick, from man to man, get some coaching, get a little bit more sharp in your analysis of the spots. It won't make you look any more professional. You'll just be making significant amounts of money whenever you want to. You know, just like you'll be able to switch it on and be like, okay, now I'm gonna crush. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, beautiful people. I'm near 100,000 subscribers. Get me there, you bastards. Otherwise, I'm gonna rate your existence 1.7 out of 10. All the best. Peace.